For Pacifica Radio, I'm Christina Onnested. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth used the Signal messaging app in a second conversation to discuss details of a March strike in Yemen with his wife and brother, among 13 people. It was first reported by the New York Times. Hegseth's first use of Signal to discuss military plans that accidentally included the editor of The Atlantic sparked widespread scrutiny, an investigation at the Defense Department, and calls by some Democrats for Hegseth to step down. Democratic Senate Leader Chuck Schumer is now calling for his resignation again. The White House Sunday dismissed the report as a non-story, saying no classified information was shared. The new leak comes as 4 officials in Hegseth's inner circle were escorted out of the Pentagon last week as it conducts an investigation into leaks. Meanwhile, U.S. airstrikes in Yemen killed 12 people and wounded 30 others in the capital, Sana'a, today, according to Yemen's Houthis. It follows one of the deadliest attacks on Yemen by the U.S. Friday, which killed 74 people and injured at least 171 others. The strikes are in response to Yemen's resumed attacks on shipping in the Red Sea in protest of Israel's renewed attacks in Gaza. The U.S. attacks are also in response to Yemen's strikes in Israel last week. 19 Palestinians were killed, 15 in southern Gaza by Israeli forces, including 3 sheltering in tents in the Al-Mawasi safe zone. Meanwhile, an Israeli investigation into its military killing of 15 Palestinian medics in Gaza last month says there were professional failures and a deputy commander was fired in one of the more severe punishments of the 18-month-long war. The International Red Cross Red Crescent called it the deadliest attack on its personnel in 8 years. Israel at first claimed the medics' vehicle did not have emergency signals on when troops opened fire. Cell phone video recovered from one medic contradicted that initial account, and Israel then backtracked. Gaza civil defense spokesperson Mahmoud Bazal called for an independent investigation, speaking with Al Jazeera today.
As a matter of fact, the Israeli occupation forces always provide false pretexts in an attempt to justify any of the crimes committed by them. This is a fully fledged war crime. That's why the Israeli occupation forces falsely claimed these were members of the Islamic Jihad resistance movement. It was clearly visible that these were ambulance vehicles flaring the red and blue lights and also flaring their sirens.
In a blow to the Trump administration, the Supreme Court has ruled in favor of immigrants, ruling 7-2 to block for now the deportations of Venezuelans held in northern Texas under the Alien Enemies Act, an 18th century wartime law that critics have called antiquated. It's the same law the administration has used to deport close to 300 accused Venezuelan gang members to El Salvador. Justices Clarence Thomas and Samuel Alito dissented. Earlier this month, the High Court ruled deportations could only proceed if those about to be removed were given due process, a chance to argue their case in court. The court's brief order directs the administration not to remove Venezuelans held in the Blue Bonnet Detention Center in Texas. The ACLU had filed the appeal. 4 House Democrats are visiting a Maryland man mistakenly deported to El Salvador, Kilmar Abrego Garcia. His American wife and children are urging his return. The Supreme Court has ordered it as well. Representatives Yasamin Ansari of Arizona, Maxine Dexter of Oregon, Maxwell Frost of Florida, and Robert Garcia of California arrived in El Salvador Sunday to investigate the conditions of Abrego Garcia. Their visit comes less than a week after Maryland Senator Democrat Chris Van Hollen met with Abrego Garcia and Salvadorian officials. Alex Gonzalez has more.
My whole point here is if you deprive one man of his constitutional rights, you threaten the constitutional rights of everybody.
Maryland Democratic Senator Chris Van Hollen says his recent El Salvador trip to check on a wrongfully deported man was about defending the right to due process, not about defending the man's reputation. Van Hollen says the United States is in a constitutional crisis because the Trump administration is flouting the courts to detain and deport people. The White House continues to allege Kilmar Abrego Garcia is a member of MS-13, even though a police informant accused him of being a member of the gang in upstate New York, where Abrego Garcia never actually lived. I'm Alex Gonzalez for Pacifica Network and Public News Service.
Protests continue against President Donald Trump's agenda. Nationwide actions took place Saturday as activists commemorated the start of the Revolutionary War 250 years ago to raise alarm against what they say are threats to the nation's democratic ideals. Monica Hartzell and Alex Hobson rallied in front of the White House.
What really pushed us to come to D.C. right now is the no due process for people like Kilmar Garcia. It just sets a really, really scary precedent if we can just send anybody we want overseas and not give them any due process.
We've got to really stand up. The time is now. Democracy is really fragile. I've seen it around the world, how quickly a democracy can crumble.
Pope Francis has died after holding his last ceremony marking Easter at the Vatican. He was the first Latin American pontiff and spoke in support of immigrants, for peace in Gaza and Ukraine, for action on climate change and against poverty. He was 88 years old. I'm Christina Onnested, reporting for Pacifica Radio.